Um, what did COVID do on the commercial side of things? Office space is obviously probably the biggest impacted. I would imagine as far as COVID goes. And did you see anything else, like any other trends that came out of that?
That is such a large question. It has affected every aspect of everything we do in commercial real estate. And I look back to March of 2020. We're on a family vacation. We're down in Mexico, and it was happening that week when everything was coming out, and we're all sitting there watching our phones and, oh, what is going to happen? And I remember telling my family, you know what? I may never sell another building in my life. I mean, I thought the world was coming to an end. I mean, we were all waiting for something to tip the market over because it's been so good for the last 7-10 years that this has to be it. This has to be it. And so, what am I going to do? I can paint houses. I can, pick up rocks and stuff. But just the complete opposite happened. And, the industrial market doubled and tripled because of COVID.
So why is that?
Well,
e-commerce,
and you think of all the,
supply chain shortages. So going back to my business management class at St. Cloud State, had to give John and
Harvard of the North,
Harvard of the North, as John likes to call them, our old alma mater. There's two different types of deliveries, kind of philosophies for inventory management. There's just in time and just in case. And before the pandemic, we largely relied on just in time. So we're importing our goods from other countries, and we're just having enough real estate, talking warehouses here, to fit that just in time inventory. That's going to be
the flow out,
flow in, flow out. So now we're transitioning to a just in case,
where some on hand.
Exactly. So, different manufacturers are either moving their plants back here or just stockpiling different types of materials.
Finished products or both?
Both.
So raw materials and finished products.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. And, the e-commerce, I think, is, certainly going to continue. And I think it's also our buying habits have all changed. We really expect stuff to be there in an hour or by the next day. And you think of the ripple effect on warehouses. A lot of these resellers who work for Amazon, they all have a little piece of a warehouse somewhere. They don't have it. They don't have a store anymore. A lot of people who were had small businesses, went to strictly e-commerce during the pandemic. Well, their product is somewhere, and it's in a warehouse somewhere, and it's all those companies are taking their little piece and growing. And if you look to the future, with what we just came out of with the pandemic, you think of all the additional testing, you think of the PPE that we got caught without when this happened, and that hopefully is going to change. And all that stuff relates to warehousing and storage and needing that kind of stuff, like Kyle said, on a moment's notice. So you got to have it ready. You can't wait for it.
Yeah, and we don't need to jump into it too far, but I think political influences have an effect as well.
Yeah. Going back to what other things happened in, throughout some of these food classes, as Kyle calls them, retail, we thought that was really going to collapse too, because at first nobody was going to stores and nobody wanted to look at anybody and nobody wanted to talk to anybody and just order online. But you know what? If you look at pre-COVID, a lot of the flushing out of retail companies had already occurred. It was kind of a clean, call it a clean landscape of retailers. And if you look back now, not a lot of companies went out of business. That's another big surprise in the retail. The ones that are there are strong and going to get stronger. And there's this pandemic changes everybody's way of thinking. I just heard today, I was driving here, and they talked about the government is going to sponsor 500,000 electrical charging stations to be within 50 miles of each other throughout the country on major thoroughfares. Think of the ripple effect on that with retail. They're not just going to be little electricals. They're going to be a station. They're going to be a coffee shop. They're going to be a place you can get a salad. They're going to, it's going to stimulate some sort of commercial real estate growth more than likely. Boy, we're seeing a lot happening with the office space in the pandemic. I think, people are wondering, what's going on with the office market, what's going to happen. We're in that phase right now. This year is going to dictate a lot of what's happening with office buildings. Right now, we're hearing it's 3 days a week. People are going to go back. Our team has been back 100% of the times. Frankly, we didn't really
I like to say 6 or 7 days a week.
Yeah, we cut back to 6 days a week, and
Right.
right. And
You're not real estate if you're doing 6 days a week.
right,
Come on.
but that's going to be evolved too. You're going to see some of these functional, obsolete buildings be converted into housing. You're going to see them being converted into med tech, to storage, and it's going to evolve. We're all going to be just fine.
Yeah, and you're hearing a lot on the office side the term flight to quality, and what that means is that tenants in Class C to Class B buildings will reduce their footprint, go into a nicer building where they're maybe paying a little incrementally higher rate, but now they're going to have some amenities, a nicer space that is going to help them recruit and draw their employees back to the
employee
office.
retention.
Right.
Yep, that's a lot of the larger corporations are really putting a lot of thought and effort into creating spaces that their employees want to be.
And I always say that demand for office space hasn't reduced its volume, but there is more pressure on quality and flexibility. Instead of companies having real estate as an expense, they're kind of looking at it now. How can we use it as a tool to get people in the office? How can we use this as a true asset? And that's where people are looking at these nicer buildings with there's an amenity race going on right now with a lot of these office buildings. It started pre-COVID, and now they're kind of readjusting.